Good evening, everyone. How are you? Thank you for joining us today. And it is us. I'm going to, I have an old friend with me, but I'm just going to share a couple of things and then we'll bring her on. So I'm Lorraine Edwards, co-founder of A Single Mission, a business ministry that exists to engage, encourage, and empower single women of faith to embrace their singleness, walk in their God-given purpose, and create a life they love now, even as they pray and prepare for the partner they desire. Now, if you've been following me, you think that's not what you've said before, but I changed the mission statement just today. I've been thinking about it and I changed it. So I went on the website and everything. The website, asinglemission.com. You can check out more of our services and all of the other information, values, mission, vision. But yes, I have changed our mission statement. Welcome to you all. I am so happy to have you here. As you have heard, if you've been here in the last couple of weeks, my goal is to reach 10,000 women in 2023, and you are the army that I'm using to do it. So please like, share, tell people about it, so that we can have more impact in this world this year. Today, happy Valentine's Day to you all. Now, if you're single, you might think, I hate Valentine's Day. If you're me, I haven't really thought about it much, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But we are going to celebrate love today. And I believe that this is going to be a great story that brings you hope. Now, last week I told you that we were going to have some guests on that are going to share their story of love. And we're calling this Worth the Wait, a love story 36 years in the making. And they were planning to be here, but unfortunately, unfortunately for us, they agreed to babysit their grandchild so that their daughter and their son-in-law could go out for Valentine's Day. So that's a beautiful thing, but they couldn't be here at this time. So actually, but we did record an interview with them earlier today, and you're going to hear that. But I didn't want to talk about that by myself, so I have invited my good friend, Renee Warren, back again to share with us. And we're just going to basically watch the video together with you all and react to the video at the end. And we would love you to be in the comments talking about what you hear. There's some beautiful moments. There's some tears. There's some laughter. And we just want you to enjoy this. I've known them for about a year. They go to the same church too. And on New Year's Eve, the church had an event and I was sitting at the same table with them. Now, I know them from music ministry. I'm the worship coordinator. So, we are interacting like that all of the time, but you never really get a chance to sit down and talk to someone. And so I was able to sit down and talk with them. And I just asked them how they met, because the pastor had talked about how he met his wife in his sermon. So it just kind of came up. And they told me this great story. I said, I need you to be on my program. And so here they are. And thank you again for joining us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sandra, and I'm from Puerto Rico, and we've been married for 12 years.
Going on 13.
Going on 13. Very happy.
All right.
My name is Aaron Perez. My father was Cuban. My mom's Puerto Rican. And I was born and raised in the U.S., although I lived 5 years.
All right, we're going to stop that and just try to start. I didn't have any problems with this earlier, but let's just hit it again.
In Puerto Rico, and that's where we first met.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is what we are here to talk about. you all's how you met and how things kind of played out in your life. So, Aram, when did you first meet Sandra?
So I had gone to a summer camp in Puerto Rico. I believe I was a junior in high school. And they always had a banquet Thursday night. And I had seen her and noticed her because she was sort of tall. I am tall, I'm 6'5". And there was like on Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday, there was a hike that there was going to be a couple's hike. And so I just asked if I could, walk with her. And we went on the hike. And then I asked her if we could, if she would, come with me to the banquet.
Can I say something?
You can jump in anytime.
Yeah, we went to that summer camp, and I have not noticed him. And it was already, he said,
like Tuesday or Wednesday.
It was Wednesday or Thursday. And I used to go every year to the summer camp. And all the time I would get invited to the banquet by a short guy. I said, I'm not going to the banquet unless, unless someone taller than 6 foot would invite. Of course, I said it. I knew I was not going to find anybody. And when we were getting ready to go on a hike, the director put all the girls in a line and then told the guys, okay, now you can go to the one you like the most and you can take the hike with them and have the chance to invite them. And I remember I was standing beside a common friend of ours, Jaji, and I was looking down and I heard that voice. I said, can I walk with you? I look, I said, oh my gosh. So,
he's tall.
Yeah. I said, of course. And it was fun. I mean, we had a good time and I was happy.
And I was nervous.
Nice. So how long did this teenage romance last?
So it didn't last that long. She lived about 45 minutes away. And, I was a teenager. I didn't have a car. But I did, borrow my parents' car 2 or 3 times. And then one of my friends, best friends in high school, took me up to see her.
Okay.
A third wheel?
So Sandra, after that, so when he was coming to visit you, were you like really excited? You really liked him, or what were your feelings? Or you just kind of like a teenager, like, oh, whatever?
Yeah, well, I've never had a boyfriend before. I was one of those good girls that didn't get, so yeah, it was, it was something new for me. But again, he would come and it's like our relationship was like 2 friends. We meet together, we go to church, we have dinner, and we talk a little bit about the things that we like, and it was fun, it was good. Yeah.
So when you were talking to him, did you feel like, oh, this is going to be great for a long time? Or was it just like, oh, while he comes, it's fine, and when he stops coming, it's whatever?
Are you asking me? Yeah,
yes,
it was.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Again, it was something new for me. I've never had a boyfriend before. But he we get along pretty good. And yeah, every time he came, it was we had a good time, and I always thought, where is this, friendship would turn into something else, or would they just like that as a friendship? Again, we were in high school. We were 16, 17. So, and back then, 16, 17 was
different than it is now.
My mom was strict. And so, I didn't know.
Aram, what were your thoughts? Or did you really, really like her? Or was it just kind of like, oh, I'm just getting to know her and whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, I mean, I liked her. Again, she was taller than most Puerto Rican women. But given that we couldn't see each other that well.
Yeah.
And back then, even though it's only like 45 minutes, to call her was a long distance call.
Right.
So it never got a chance to develop
Yes.
past just the friendship.
So things ended.
Well,
Okay, what was that?
Because there was
Just go
one
ahead.
of the my dad was a minister at
Mhm.
a state church, and at one of his churches, a young lady who was having trouble with some English classes or a book she had to read it, and had asked my dad, and so I went to see her, and she lived like 15 minutes away from our house, so that became more convenient to see.
That was an easier love.
Yeah.
Well, we're saying, in our title, we say 36 years in the making. So obviously technology had not advanced to where it is now. We can FaceTime and Zoom and all of these different things. And so 45 minutes is a big deal when you're a teenager and don't have a car and, no cell phone. So I understand the convenient romance. So, so it ended. And then what happened after that? Just give me an airplane view, Aram, of your life and Sandra of your life.
I went to Antillean College, which is the Adventist college in Puerto Rico. And around that time, this other girl, she broke up with me.
Inconvenient.
Yeah. Well, part of it because Antillean College back then took 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to Walla Walla College after I went 1 year of college in Antillean, and then went to Walla Walla. I got my engineering degree, and that's where I met my first wife. And we got married, and we had a life until she decided she didn't want to be with me anymore. So,
And so, how old are you at this point when you all break up or get divorced?
I was in my 50s. So
so you were married for a long time.
Yes, I was married over 25 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Sandra, tell me an airplane view of your life from
after that summer camp. We stayed in touch until he found someone that was closer. But at that point, we had graduated. He went to college, like he said, and I went to college, and I found a job at the conference.
Okay.
And I started working there.
And that's in Puerto Rico?
In Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where I met his dad. And he told me, "Oh my Lord, he used to call me Sandrita." Then he says, "If I would have known that you were the girl that my boy was, to visit, oh my, like, he was just like in love with me." Like,
oh, that's cute.
So after that, of course, life goes on. So I met my ex-husband, and we got married, and we started a family. I had 2 daughters, but the marriage did not last too long.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into details.
No.
It ended.
Okay.
We ended up moving to Florida.
And then I ended up moving here to Florida.
How old were you when you got divorced?
The same. We're the same age.
No. How old were you when you
you
separated?
You say you were like 50?
Yeah, but you didn't. Your first marriage didn't last 20.
Oh no, my first marriage. Oh my Lord, my first marriage. Unfortunately, it lasted like 5 years.
Okay. So you're still in your 20s at this point.
Yes,
when you get divorced, and then you moved to Florida at that time.
I moved to Florida, and then I remarried. It did not last a year.
Okay. So you're still a young woman now.
Yes. Oh yeah, I was younger. I mean, I was single for a long time before I found him again.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a very important point that we're going to come back to in a few minutes. But Sandra, I want to follow up with you because you had been divorced for a long time. When were you ready to date again after your second divorce? Like hopefully you went through the healing process and all of that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like you said, I was still young, and I was raising by myself 2 young girls. And I was like traumatized. I didn't want to have anything to do with men anymore. But that changed because, again, I'm a young woman and I'm raising 2 kids by myself, and it was hard. So I guess about 3 or 4 years, it might not seem that much, but I was young and I needed company. I said, I want someone to love and love me.
Right.
So I was single for so many years, many, many years.
So when you decided, Sandra, that you were like, okay, I'm shaking off all the trauma and I'm ready to kind of date again, what did you do? Did you get on an app? Did you go to the social?
Well, like I said before, I've been married twice, and the 2 marriages were a disaster. One was worse than the other one, but they were about the same. And so I said, I need help. Obviously I can't choose by myself. I need some help. So I started to, as a Christian woman, I started to pray. And I kept praying to the Lord. I said, well, obviously I cannot make a choice. I can decide, or I can't make a good choice. So you have to do it for me.
Okay.
I need your help. I need you to bring me. And I'm telling you, I dated because I was single for like 30 years.
Wow.
And I said, Lord, I need you to help me. So I have dated, a few guys, but none of them were.
No go.
And then I had 2 girls, so I needed to think about my daughters too.
Right.
Right. So I started praying, and I prayed. I kept praying, and it seemed like the Lord wasn't listening to me. And I prayed for many, many, many years. And do you want me to keep going?
I want to go to the point where now you're divorced and Aaron is divorced. So you're both 50, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. So Aaron, tell me, after you got divorced, were you ready to start dating? You've been married for 25 years. How did you approach this whole situation?
I mean, technically, I was married over 25 years, but, the last several years of the marriage, and I was working, I lived in Seattle, and I was working in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
So I would only be home on weekends. And my ex had decided she didn't want to go to church anymore. And so she would complain that, when I came home, Saturdays I would be, go to church, and she didn't want to. She wanted to do
other stuff.
And then just before the divorce became final, I moved from Sacramento to San Diego, and I was there, when the divorce became final, and I enjoy being married. And after about, 9 months or so, I started, looking. I had a beard. My kids didn't see me without a beard until they were adults.
Oh, wow.
I had a beard, again, all the time I was married. I had a beard. So I shaved. And then there was a couple of websites, by now that, internet had been.
Right.
And there was an Adventist Singles.
Yes, I'm familiar.
And I found someone, that I thought, that I liked. She was in New York City, and I went and visited her a couple of times, but she had one daughter. When I got divorced, all my kids were adults already, so they were all on their own. And she didn't want to, after we dated for a while, she didn't want to move her daughter to California.
Right.
I had a really good job at Qualcomm. I didn't want to give that up, so that didn't work out. And then I did find another lady that was actually just about an hour away from San Diego.
Okay.
And she was a Mexican lady, and she was 6 foot tall.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
You think, right?
Yeah. And I mean, she seemed to like family, and she knew I had kids and that. But after we got married, it's like she wanted to separate me from my kids. I remember when my daughter had her first son, she wanted to wait like 3 months before we went to see my grandson. I said, no. That lasted just 3 years.
Okay.
A little over 3 years.
So how old are you now? At that point, how old are you?
I was in the late 50s, like 57, 58.
Okay. And Sandra, you're about, because you all are the same age?
Right.
The same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so all this time, Sandra's been not married.
Exactly.
Since her late 20s. And then so now you all are in the same place. You're still looking for someone. Sandra, what happened next in your life?
I was getting desperate. I was thinking, this is it. There's no more chance for me. And after praying to God, I mean, for so many years. And when I say many years, I'm talking about 12, 15 years. I was just, praying, Lord, I need some company and I need you to, I don't want to go through another failure. Well, I got to the point as a human being that I got upset. I got mad at God. I said, well, God, you said that if we ask, you would listen and you would, answer or yes or no, but I'll have an answer. But I haven't heard from you. I haven't, I don't know what to do. And I got mad at God. And then the prayer that I used to have asking God for help, it turned on the opposite side. Then I would pray to God, claiming him. I was mad at God. But when I say mad, it was mad.
I hear you. And
that was my prayer.
I think our audience can relate to that.
God, I mean, why aren't you listening to me? I mean, am I different from anybody else? And I thought he was not listening to me. But he was. I was the one who was not. I was the one who was not, I should have prayed to God to help me understand his way of communicating with me.
Oh, wow. I like that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Believe me. I'm with you.
But God, he was
listening.
He was answering.
He was answering. How did he answer? We want to know. This is a great story. I love this story.
Well, the thing is that we still have a common friend from Puerto Rico. She went to college with him and we grew up together in our church in Puerto Rico. Her name was Sandra, same as me. And she kept sending me emails. That's when Facebook started. And she kept sending me emails asking me to join Facebook and be her friend. But I said, that's for kids. I don't have anything to do with that. I don't have time to waste. I'm going to Facebook. So I would ignore. And 2 or 3 months later, she would send me another email. And this happened like 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
So, yes. So it was like probably a whole year of she asking me to join Facebook. And I didn't want to. And then we were in the Sabbath, we went to church and I was sitting with my oldest daughter. She's an adult already because so many years passed.
Yeah.
He was sitting by me and I don't remember what the pastor preaching about, but he said that God answered their prayers. And here I am just, what is he going to say? Because I can tell you. And he said, and the Bible said that he answered his prayer and and this happened. But then he says, but it's not like he prayed for a week and the following week his prayer was answered. Many years passed before his prayer was answered. And my daughter, she says, Mom, good luck. Do you have a few more years? And I said, oh my gosh. Anyway, that same Sabbath, we went home after service. And again, there was another email from my friend. And I said, you know what? I'm being rude. She's from my hometown. in Puerto Rico, and here we are in the United States, and I'm ignoring her.
Mhm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join Facebook, and that's going to be it.
Okay.
Facebook, and I'll be her friend, and that's it. So we went home, and my oldest daughter is teaching me. She was the one who opened, and she did my profile on Facebook, and she's teaching me.
Mhm.
She says, now you have one friend. And then she says, and if you go to her profile and you click on her friends, you can see the friends, all her friends. Well, guess the first name that was there.
I can't imagine.
Aaron Perez. When I saw that name, I said, Aaron Perez? His name is not too common.
Right.
And I said, would it be the same Aaron? And he has changed a lot.
Mhm.
He doesn't look like what he looked when we were.
Right.
When we met. And then my daughter's teaching me, and she says, well, you can send him a text and you can ask him, if he's the one that you, and I said, what if it's not him? And my daughter said, well, but he'll tell you no, I'm sorry. And then I said, what if it's him and he doesn't remember me? My daughter said, oh, Mom. And she grabbed the computer and she typed the message and she said, are you the same Aaron Perez I met in Puerto Rico? Da, da, da. And she says, okay, it's gone. Well, guess what? Like, it didn't take him too long.
How long? How long?
Well, that Saturday
Not even
night.
24 hours.
Yeah, that Saturday night, I'm checking my emails
Mhm.
and I see that. And when I saw Sandra Gallardo, which is her maiden name, yeah, my heart skipped a beat.
All right.
I said, wow. And I responded right away. Yeah, Aaron, same Aaron Perez. And so we just started.
Aaron, let me ask you a question before you go on. Did you get on Facebook with any intention of meeting anyone, or you just got on it because it was a new thing now and just kind of how you connect?
Yeah, it's just I originally joined Facebook because I had taken a photography class, and they wanted you to post the pictures you took on a Facebook group they had.
Right.
Which anyway.
Yeah.
So because I did have one of my nieces ask me to join several times, but again, I didn't think anything about it or joined. But once I joined, then and then I reconnected with a whole bunch of friends, high school friends that I hadn't seen since I left Puerto Rico in '73. So
did that make you think of her, or it just happened that when she messaged you, you were like, "Oh,
yes, exactly."
Oh wow, okay, so that happened.
Right. So we started just first sending messages back and forth. And then after, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so, I think I sent her my phone and she sent me hers. And we started, then talking over the phone. And one weekend, I believe it was in August, if I remember correctly, my daughter and my grandson were going to come visit me. And I had taken Friday off. And we were talking a Wednesday night, right?
No, it was Thursday. It was just because
No,
you came the following day.
I flew out Thursday.
You flew out Thursday, but then it was Wednesday.
No.
It was the day before.
Yeah. The day before they were supposed to come, my daughter calls me and says, Ashton is very sick, has a fever, we can't come.
Okay.
So we're talking, and I'm telling her this, and then it just dawns on me, and I ask her, well, what are you doing this weekend?
And then interrupt. Remember, at this point, I'm in Tennessee.
Okay.
I had moved to Tennessee. And he was in California on the other side.
Uh-huh.
And when he says, what are you doing this weekend? I said, I'm doing nothing. Do you want to come over? It was like a joke.
Uh-huh.
I knew he's over there in California. How is he going to come?
So I told her, well, hang on a minute and let me see if I can get some flights.
No, I'm sorry. He says, well, let me call you in 5 or 10 minutes. I knew that he had a job, that he was traveling all over. So he had a lot of points.
And then your heart
whenever.
So yeah, I get on the website and I book a flight, and the closest to Tennessee or to Chattanooga was actually Atlanta. Now, when you use miles to fly, they don't take you the most direct flight.
Yeah.
So they were flying me from San Diego to Dulles in Washington, D.C. And originally I had like a 3-hour layover, and then from D.C. to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I called her back and I said, well, I arrive in Atlanta.
I get there tomorrow.
Right. Can you come pick me up? And she says, yeah. So
that's about a 2.5, 3-hour drive from.
Well,
Like 2 hours.
yeah.
No traffic, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Funny, he wouldn't come to see me 45
minutes.
Different time.
On the other side of the country just to visit me.
Well, he's not gonna miss out this time. He's like,
No.
I'm not gonna lose out on this opportunity. So you get there and.
Right. So, well, I don't know how much time we have because it's sort of a little complicated story there. Because
we're at 35 minutes already. But
okay.
I'll
Anyway,
yeah,
she comes picks me up, and one of the first things that impresses me as we're driving back is that she's driving a stick shift. She had a stick shift Honda.
Yes. I love stick shifts myself.
Yeah, and and nowadays it's very rare to see anybody for that drive a stick shift. So, yeah, I stayed the weekend, and we had a really good time.
Okay. So after that, first time face to face after 35 years at this point,
Right.
What was the conclusion and the beginning of this next chapter of your story? What happened?
Well, I was a little nervous because after so many years that I have not seen him. But when I saw him, it was like last time we see you was yesterday. It was like, and it was very relaxing and
that's awesome.
Yeah, I just felt
it's like
it didn't feel that it had been so many years since we had
That's awesome.
And yeah, we got along fine. We talked and.
So how long?
He told me I recently got divorced, so I need some time to figure this out. He says I really like you and I would like to continue seeing you. This is my situation, and I said, fine. I've been single for.
I can wait a few more weeks or months.
And but it didn't take long.
No, I mean, we kept on talking, and then back then with Skype was a popular thing.
Mm-hmm.
I still had my job that I used to have to travel a lot of places, but I would time it, and we would Skype. Sometimes I'd be 3 or 4 in the morning wherever I was, so I and she came and visited me, and we went back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2009, which would have been it was Valentine's weekend, she was so, and I arranged for a little gondola ride there in San Diego. They have a place where there's a gondola.
Oh, that's beautiful. And by the way, audience, this is being recorded on Valentine's Day. So
Right.
This is the anniversary of the
engagement
proposal.
Yeah. So, I mean, she had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst part is I had gotten sick.
He was so sick.
And I had told her that I had a little surprise for her on this was on a Sunday. And I think Valentine's that year fell on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a surprise, and she said, "Well, we should just stay." I said, "No, I already
put all that work in. It's like we're going."
So, yeah, we go out, and we get on the gondola, and then just when they start turning around, I was so nervous, I forgot to get on my knee, and I had the engagement ring with me. I pull it out. And I sort of open and show it to her, and I don't say anything. And
he goes like this. And I said, "But you asked me."
So yeah, I asked her, and of course she said yes.
Wow, that is beautiful.
And we were married in May.
I love
and
it.
for everybody, before we round up this, I just want to mention that, I prayed for many years. But I complained that God wasn't listening to me. Yes, he was. And he was communicating with me. But I didn't notice. I spent almost a whole year not wanting to join Facebook. And my friend asking me to join Facebook. That was God. Listen, answering I said, if you join Facebook, then you'll find him. It's there for you. He's waiting.
Yes.
And another thing, and it probably took so many years because he was married. And God, I assume he probably said, this is the perfect man for you. But he's not ready yet. So you will have to wait until he's ready for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Timing is important on issues like that. Sometimes it's the right person in the wrong time, and it can be a disaster again versus when you're ready for that. And so I love this story. I have known them for about a year now, but we got to sit down at New Year's and I just asked them, how'd you meet? And I heard this and I was like, oh, this has got to be on, because I have been single my whole life as an adult. And there are many people watching who are wanting a partner, who are struggling, who are praying, who are crying out to God, who are angry at God because this hasn't happened yet. And I wanted you to share your story because you all, even though you met as a teenager, you met later in life, you've gone through all of these difficult things and hurts and trauma. And here you are, and God's like, I still have a plan. I still have a thing. I still am looking out for you in this area of your life. And you all are always, snuggled up together in church. And I love that. And I just think it's beautiful. So,
I asked God to find me a good man, but he found me I can't take it. An awesome guy.
Well, we love that.
He's not good. He's awesome.
Amen.
He's biased.
And she should be, because God knows best for us, and he gives us more than we could possibly imagine or ask for. And that's what we want to leave everybody with this beautiful happy Valentine's Day. I didn't even know that they got engaged on Valentine's Day when I asked them. We just talked yesterday, so this just made it even better. But that there is hope for all of us. That God, we don't know what God is, and we don't certainly know why we have to wait so long sometimes. But when we walk in God's perfect will, then his plan.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? I thought you took them. I thought you took me off the screen. Oh my goodness.
Hi, everybody. Go every year to.
Sorry, that was a mess up there.
Awesome guy.
Well, we love that.
He's not good. He's awesome.
Amen.
He's biased.
And she should be, because God knows best for us, and he gives us more than we could possibly imagine or ask for. And that's what we want to leave everybody with this beautiful happy Valentine's Day. I didn't even know that they got engaged on Valentine's Day when I asked them. We just talked yesterday, so this just made it even better. But that there is hope for all of us. Know what God's plans is, and we don't certainly know why we have to wait so long sometimes. But when we walk in God's perfect will, then his plan is always worth the wait.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I am no more good. Oh, that was so sweet.
I think there's some people in the chat who aren't any good either.
Oh my goodness, that was wonderful.
I'm a little bit better because I've heard the story 3 times now, but yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh my God.
So, well, we know one of your reactions. Talk to me about just everything and get in the chat. Susan has been loving the story. Tracy loves the story. Ebony says she just basically cried for 40 minutes straight. HD Fan Freeze loves. I love this comment from Anne-Marie White earlier. She said, God timing, but it is time now. And I was like, yeah, girl. And even when she said, and I'm just going to jump in. When she said that she should have been praying for God to tell her how to hear his word, Ebony had responded to that. So tell me your thoughts. What are you, because both of us are single, never married, and Christian and praying and all of that, and it can be very difficult to be calling out and asking God for something that you need or want, and you feel like he's not listening. So
if I can get this frog out my throat, I'll gladly share. I mean, that was one of the notes that I had actually written down and put like a really huge star behind it, because I thought that was really important. When she said that she prayed to God to ask him how he communicates, and so obviously she knows when she is hearing from him, and she hadn't even gotten to the part of the story where he had been talking to her, all along. And then, I don't know, I just found that like extremely, what's the word? I mean, even for her to have that thought, you know what I mean? During a time where she didn't feel like he was talking at all, it was almost like having the thought itself was him trying to communicate, like him trying to say, you're missing something. You know what I mean? I hear you, I feel you, I understand your anger, I understand your frustration, but let me place this thought on you so that you can start contemplating, or just to plant the seed to let you know I'm talking to you.
Yeah. I love that. That's so true. I think that and I'm guilty of this just probably as anybody else, that we've seen God act before and we expect him to do it the same way or do it the way he did it for somebody else or all of that. And when we are not open to him doing it a different way or communicating a different way or something that's unexpected, then it's easy to miss what he's saying, and you're like, Facebook, Facebook, it was like new. What is this thing? Like she said, I just thought it was for kids. And her friend obviously was listening to God. God was telling her, keep inviting her. Because, it was kind of a thing where I wasn't on Facebook for many years until my brother called us, all the siblings. And he was like, you all need to get on Facebook so we all got on pretty much the same day. But Facebook had been a thing for a while. But when you think about that, God kept pursuing her because through her friend, because if you said to me, hey, join Facebook, or if I said to you and you were like, no, then I would just be like, okay, she don't want to join Facebook.
Right.
The friend just kept. So obviously the Holy Spirit was pushing her to do this. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I mean, it was, that's all I have to say. It was awesome.
Okay. Do you have any other? We got a couple minutes.
Okay. So, I mean, if we're like, do you want me to talk about
let me ask their permission if we could go like just a few more minutes. I tried to cut the video, but we really wanted to see the whole thing. So just to get more of Renee's perspective, maybe like 5 more minutes. So go ahead, Renee.
Okay. I mean, just overall, I think it's an amazing love story, that just speaks to, I can't even talk. It speaks to God's timing. It speaks to the way that he can take this mess of a life and he can still orchestrate it and create something so beautiful. I mean, because there's even a blessing in her delay. You know what I mean? Because just like she said, if she had, accepted that invitation to Facebook right from the beginning, the time still may not have been right. She would have seen Aaron Perez, and he would have said, I'm married. I'm in a situation that doesn't allow us to, move into this thing that, from the way it looks now, it was destined. It's a God thing. The way that it was designed.
Right.
But let me see here.
One question that I had intended to ask them, but then I forgot to ask them while we were talking, is just from you can't know this obviously, but just from their perspective, if they had actually stayed together when they were teens, do they think that they would have actually lasted and had this relationship? Or was the detours really not that God wants us to be unhappy or go through divorces or anything, but was all of that creating who they were that now makes them be the couple that they are? Does that make sense?
It does. And even just drawing from my own life, sometimes you can't appreciate the good unless you have those more unpleasant experiences. Like you said, that's not God's original design for us in our lives, but we live in a sinful world, and sometimes things go ziggity zaggity or whatever. But through those times, we're learning, we're learning what we want, what we don't want, and I don't know, how people grew up, what kind of examples they had of love and things like that. But sometimes it doesn't always set you up to be your best in your relationships. So sometimes, those hard times, they absolutely suck as you're going through them. But then when you look back, you can see how, hello, me and my feet too.
Yes.
You can see how those hard times help you to appreciate something that is really good. You know what I mean? And to be able to, really cherish it, as opposed to some people have hard times. And then even when they get something good, they reject it because it's not what I'm used to. I'm used to the struggle. I'm used to, those type of things. But with her praying and them having that relationship with God and whatnot, when it's time for them to come together, they didn't reject it. You know what I mean? They accepted it. They embraced it. And it was their right time, so they can come together and have what they have now, to have all of us crying for 40 minutes. I think that life just, it helped. I think, I don't know, they would have to say that, but it helped to get them where they are today. And actually that was one of the things that stood out, even in the beginning, even though they were young, when they met and, had that initial childish draw to each other or whatever. I'm a hype person too, so I thought that was really cool. But anyway, they had this initial draw to each other, but even still, they went on with their lives. You know what I mean? The relationship the interest that they had in each other did not stop them from, going through school, going off to college, him, pursuing these great jobs or whatever. And, her, caring for her children. Because it sounds like she did a good job, because her daughter was in a place where she wanted her mom to be happy, and she was willing to say, "Give me that keyboard, I got you, and I want to hook you up so that you too can be happy as well."
Yes, I totally agree, and I do think that I just had a couple of points that stood out for me, and I'm just going to put them up here. Seeking God is critical. She said that after the second divorce, and she had spent a couple of 3 or 4 years, she said she was single and she was ready for a partner again. And she said to God, obviously I'm a bad picker, so I need you to pick this person for. In not just in relationships, obviously this is what the program is about, but in all aspects of our life, we need to be seeking God for his wisdom. And we need to obey God. We need to be obeying God when he says whatever he says. If he says go that direction, then we need to go, knowing, as hard as that can be sometimes, knowing that wherever he takes you at the end, there is goodness for you. But it may be a difficult path. We need to trust his timing. And I think there was a great point that you just made about, even if, not that God doesn't want us to obey him immediately, but if she had gotten on Facebook at that time, maybe he wasn't on, or he wasn't ready, or whatever. But then over that time period, God kept pursuing her and things kind of worked out. But in every situation, trusting his timing to, and just, a quick story, my brother and his wife, they dated for about a year, and then they broke up because it wasn't great. It was quite not great. But then a year after that, so they were separated for a year, and then the next year they got back together. They just celebrated 25 years because the timing was wrong for when they got together the first time. Mm-hmm. And so we always, just because you're even the right person doesn't mean it's the right time. And then finally, God's plan is worth the wait. And we can all be real on the fact that it's hard to wait for God sometimes, because you don't always understand what you're waiting for. You don't always understand how long you almost never understand how long you're going to have to wait. But I'm sure if we could ask Sandra right now, and she said it's worth the wait. Like she said, for 30 years, because her second marriage ended, she was in her late 20s, and they were in their late 50s when she got married. And so 30 years of praying for this thing that you desire so much, and you can get angry at God, and you can, but she still didn't jump the gun and go just pick somebody. She waited, and it was worth the wait. So our final scripture, thank you, Renee, for joining me and for your reactions. And it was beautiful. I did get you off sometimes, but then I was like, oh, I got to get this one, because I love, just the genuine reaction to the story. Lamentations 3:25, the Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. And so for those of you out there, I know that the struggle is real, and you may not be waiting for a spouse. You may be waiting for something else from God. But whatever it is, as hard as it is, he understands. But the Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. And so I pray that you are that. So whatever you do enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy Valentine's Day. If you've got other plans, thank you for joining us. And until next time, make choices that help you live, love, and marry wiser. God bless.